In 1913, two young boys had run away from Emporia. They somehow found the means to journey over 100 miles to the Paris of the Plains, the bustling metropolis of Kansas City, Missouri. When a sympathetic officer of the KCPD asked the adventuresome duo why they had left Emporia, one replied, "Well, there's nothing there but William Allen White, and we got tired of hearing of him."
As a native Kansan, I was always very proud of William Allen White. And every time everybody mentioned the name William Allen White, I would go, hey, he's one of us. And us meaning somebody from Kansas, and look at this man who had made such an imprint.
William Allen White was a principled man, a thoughtful man.
He reminds me of Mark Twain with the way he uses language, but his sense of humor and the satire.
What William Allen White did was basically affect the national political conversation by invoking the small-town values of Emporia, Kansas.
He didn't gravitate to stay in the powerful circle. He said, I don't like this direction and I'm going to call it out, and even if it means I never get invited to the party again, even there's no seat for me at the table, that's okay.
William Allen White was an idealist. Yet his style of idealism was a contradiction. He was sophisticated and urbane.
And now we move down 45th Street to the Music Box Theater to catch the glamorous opening night of Ceiling Zero. Near the head of the line, in the gray outfit, is Walter Winchell, famous Broadway columnist. Here's William Allen White, eminent journalist.
I'm mighty glad to congratulate Brock Pemberton on another success.
Yet, he was a rural figure, provincial and down home. He remained a Kansan his entire life. He was a journalist, politician, novelist, diplomat, activist, humanitarian, but always a small-town newspaper man. He could be a rock-hard deal-maker, driving forward agreements in the best tradition of grassroots activism. Yet he refused to give in to the harmful elements of machine politics. He received 10 honorary degrees, including one from Harvard, and advocated education his entire life.
Since I first came to the University of Kansas 50 years ago and went out after 4 years without a degree, I've often asked myself, what is the thing we call an education, and I don't know.
Yet he himself did not graduate from college, accomplishing most of his learning from his editor's desk, world travel, and from relationships with some of the great leaders and thinkers of the time. Forever modest, he was confident of his abilities as a journalist, but used his editorials not only to explore global issues and national politics, but also to defend Main Street and ensure its success. This would make him the voice of small-town America, and he would develop that community into a metaphor that would help the country understand their plight. He would become the Sage of Emporia, one of the foremost journalists of his time. But White's appearance on the world stage would occur when America needed a voice from the heartland, a moderate voice, grounded in community, justice, and democratic ideals, a voice for an expanding nation, ready for change. America needed a William Allen White. The late 1880s and early 90s were a tough time for Kansas farmers. Drought and debt were destroying everything. Crops failed and farmers were losing their livelihood to foreclosure. In response, a new radical idea swept across Kansas like a prairie fire. It was called the People's Party.
The populists of the 1890s and the People's Party were very progressive. They were thinking about the future, and they had a remarkable set of policies that came out of the Omaha platform and other places that are things we know about in the modern world today: direct election of senators, public ownership of utilities and railroads.
It was a party that embraced people rather than corporations, what was good for communities, what was good for families, what was a living wage, what was decent treatment of labor. And some populists went as far as to embrace crazy things like equality of women and equality of the races.